pass the ball on to the striker. So you find the striker coming back to try to get the ball to go forward. So in this case, this initiative will actually be very helpful to them because we know that most of them want to source locally, but they have a challenge of finding quality products at the reasonable price and at reasonable quantity with security of supply. This is what we'll be able to offer the processors, and this will actually be a game changer for them as well. And it should also enable some people exit agriculture, the smallholders. There are too many people trying to produce too little all across Africa. We don't need all Africans to be in the farming. We need the smallholders should not be 1 hectare or 2 hectares. Smallholders should be 10 hectares, 20 hectares. That way, the people involved in smallholder farming will actually be at just above mid-income. They will earn enough, they will be able to save, they will be able to demand services like electricity, access to internet, and this will in turn spur the growth of the rural economy. You will now find that some people will now be in the solar electricity sector, servicing those who are in the agricultural sector. So our initiative actually will also demonstrate that agriculture, modern-day agriculture in the rural area can spur rural growth.
I think this sounds like music to my ears. Sorry, I'm a little bit under the weather, so in case you get my part of my cough and all of that, sorry, apologies to you and our viewers. But I'm working on it. I got something in here from the farm as well to help me get it better. So we need to get a number of Africans off the farm so that the few folks remaining could be better put together and aggregate a better production and yield for everyone, so rather than everyone trying to do one acre of plot of land or whatever as agriculture, and we're all breaking it down and everybody's too much noise rather than value. But again, where do you see the governments on the continent? Where do you see the various governments coming in here to help this type of initiative, to narrow things down a little bit to what you're talking about in a manner that we don't keep running around in circles as we seem to have been doing over the decades and years, and we don't seem to get out of that cycle, as it were?
Well, I think that for the government, provision of infrastructure is very important. I take you back to the Niger Delta, where we are not able to participate in a lot of the national programs initiated by the CBN, NISAL, or the federal government, simply because we don't have land for farming, land ready for farming. There are lots of forest lands, but they are not cleared. And most of these initiatives do not provide for cost of clearing. So the land is simply not available to farm. So the governments in the Niger Delta, the state governments must take some steps to work with farmers to make sure that the land is cleared and ready for smallholders to use. Land clearing in that part of the country is very, very expensive, which is one of the reasons why most of the agricultural investments are happening in the grassland areas of Nigeria rather than in the thickly forested southwest, southeast, and south states.
The cost of hiring a tractor to clear a forest where you have trees and other vegetation, not in the middle belt or the north, where you have less of those very heavy trees and what have that. Who bears that cost? Someone has to pay that cost.
Well, everything has to be costed. You're right about that. But everything has to also be commercial. Everything has to make sense so that those who are investing can recoup their investment. So the cost of land clearing and irrigation will have to be stretched over a couple of seasons. So in other words, for instance, it will cost about 25 to 30,000 to do plowing. That's affordable right away by the farmers. They can recoup that from the immediate season. But the cost of land clearing is different. It's quite high. So that needs to be recouped over a couple of seasons. So what we're doing is designing the financial model that can accommodate that, and people can actually invest in land clearing, and it's quite profitable. But if we get the support of the state governments in the Niger Delta, obviously it will be quicker.
Do you think farmers need special loans or loans at special concessional interest rates across the board?
Definitely. The interest rates in this country are too high, quite high. That is why we find it difficult to compete with the rest of the world. Whatever we are doing in production, we have to bear in mind that we are not just competing amongst ourselves, we are competing with the rest of the world. So if an Indian farmer or a Thai farmer gets loan at 2% interest rate, of course, such a farmer will be able to afford exporting that product to a faraway country like Nigeria. The product will come here and still compete in price with the products from Nigeria. It should not be so. So the banks really need to step in here. They really need to understand the nature of this business and work accordingly. Even 9% or 7% interest rate is too high for agriculture.
Okay, let's leave it there for today. Let's continue this conversation and keep an eye on what you folks are doing and where you move to after you're done with the Niger Delta. Maybe you're going to move things a little bit up to the southwest, the southeast, to the middle belt, and maybe to the north. But it's a good one. Thank you very much. We appreciate that you've been here with us. Demary Vaughan Kemeri from Alluvial Agriculture, live from our Abuja studios. Thank you very much, and do have a great day. That initiative between Tata Conglomerate, the Tata Group, and Jean